Welcome to the weekly or bi-weekly shiur from the Zer Shimshon. I promised you last week to get an extra portion for Chanukah, and here it is from the Zer Shimshon. This is Chav Zayin Kislev Tafshin Pei Beis, and it's the third day of lighting Chanukah lights. And it's also Chav Zayin Kislev is also the yard site for the Chaim Chernovich, who wrote the Be'er Maim Chaim and Sidur Shal Shabbos. I was by his kever when we went to the Bas Ayin 2 weeks ago, and he's buried in a cave with his whole family, up in right just down from where the Arizal is buried. Anyway, this is should be a Ili Nishmasai for Chaim ben Shlomo, Zecher Tzadik v'Kodesh Levracha. So this is an Indian from Zer Shimshon Inyani Chanukah. This is very interesting. It's a little complicated, but we'll try to explain it as best I can. The Pirsumi Nisa is Adif Lan Dakdumi. Pirsumi Nisa is, to explain or publicize the Nes is preferable to go first. The Eid Shalifiha Emes Inyan Chanukah Korv the Inyan Mechiras Yosef. And he's going to explain how Chanukah has to do with selling Yosef, with the brothers. And that's why Parshas Miketz comes in the middle of Chanukah. Okay? Another reason. The Megala Mukais is one of the great Mekubalim, and he reveals there in his book, As b'yamei Yavon nischadesh Avon mechiras Yosef. He says that in the days of the Greeks, it was renewed the sin of selling Yosef. V'zeu ki Antiochus oila b'gematria Yosef. So Antiochus adds up to the gematria of Yosef. I just stopped to calculate it. It is 156, and Antiochus, Yosef's name is equal to the gematria 156, and Antiochus is also 156. You can check it, the math if you want. Okay, Zeo ki Antiochus oila b'gematria Yosef. Ki melech Yovan is gematria Yosef. It's also 156. V'lachein hayu roitzim sheyichtavu al keren hashor she'ein lohem chelik be'elokei Yisrael. Whereas, that's Midrash Rabbah and Breshis, as Haya Shvishnas Reish Yud Gimel Abinyan Bayashini. When Yavan took over, it was 213th year in the Bayashini, in the year of second year in the second temple. V'zeu Masha Ramas Lavan the Yaakov, the Yagar Sahadusa, when they made when Lavan ran after Yaakov, and he made a pact with him. So they did it by Yagar Sahadusa. It's the only Aramaic phrase in the Torah. Yagar is the gematria Reish Yud Gimel, of course. V'hatam, what's the reason then? What's the Lavan got to do with Yaakov? V'hatam shahoya dafka b'shnas Reish Yud Gimel. Why dafka did this Yavanim take over, the Greeks take over in 213th year, the second Beis HaMikdash? Yesh lemer de'isa b'zoyar parshas Vayeshev. It's brought in the Yezayah Chadash there, in the beginning of Yeshiv. It says, "Shegalus Mitzrayim haya ba'ovin mechiras Yosef Ein Sham," that the galus of Egypt was because of the sin of selling Yosef. So Oid Amru Chazal, it's brought in the Yalkut Chadash in Erech Galus Oisid Gimel, Kishiyatzu Yisrael mi Mitzrayim. When the Jewish people went out of Egypt, Nasan Lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaShabbos, Shahaya Migdasai Shal Yosef Sheyichaper Al Chatasam. So he gave them the mitzvah of Shabbos. That was the first thing they got at Morah, one of the first mitzvahs, and that was to make an atonement for the sin of selling Yosef. It says when they didn't keep the Shabbos, it says in Pasuk in Yirmiyahu, V'hevesim eshari Yushalayim nigzar aleim galus bavel. Then when they didn't keep Shabbos, it was declared on them to go into Golas Babel. Ve'achar kach chazor in this oira b'bayis sheni al yidei sinas chinu shahaisa b'neim. And then they got another Golus because of this sinas chinim that they had between them. Shezeh dugmas chet shashvatim. This is similar to the sin of the Shvatim because they hated Yosef. Yishnu oisai, and they hated Yosef. Ad kan l'shoinai. Okay. Well, the Daiteno, according to our explanation, according to the Zerah Shimshon, Hayazeh b'shnas Reishid Gimel, that came out in the 213th year of the second base of Mikdash. Ki Riv hu meriva. Riv arguments, right? The Chsiv, it says, Al Riv b'nei Yisrael, on the arguments. Now, Reishid Beis is one short of Reishid Gimel, right? Riv is B'gematria, Reishid Beis, 212. B'shnas Reishid Gimel, Dafka bo aleim Antiochus. And in the 213th year, because they had the Sinas Chinim for 212 years, then the Antiochus came on them in the 213th year. V'gazer levato mehem, what did he make a gazer on them? Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, and Mila. Okay? Mipnei shekol eila hashloisha mitzvahs hayu mechaprim al mechiras Yosef. Because all these three commandments have an atonement for the selling of Yosef. Shabbos, like we said, and Rosh Chodesh makrivim by seir. The Rosh Chodesh because they bring the seir, it's a goat, and they brought in the Zohar and Parshas Pinchas, Shuhu keneged Yosef, because they dipped Efsher Shahu Mechaper al Seir Izim Sheshachatu b'mechiraseh. They shechted the Seir Izim in order to use the blood in his Kesainis passing. Behem also, Behem Yud Beis Chadashim Reshana keneged Yud Beis Shvatim. And there are 12 months in the year keneged the 12 Shvatim. Ve'af hashonim sheloi chatu. The shnayim, the other two that didn't sin, meviim al hachaitim. They bring the seir also for the sinners. Kedamatzina ve'choriyas in Perek Aleph, excuse me. The par helam davar al shalat sibur. And they bring par helam davar, even though the rest of some of the people didn't. Not everybody sinned, but they have to bring it for the whole sibur. Sometimes it's 13 months and it's an Iber year. That's Keneged Menashe and Ephraim. Mila Shazuhi Midasa, and the third thing is Mila, which is Keneged the Mida of Yosef, which is Yesoid. Which Haraya Shekol Kach Torach b'Mitzrayim Kedei She'af HaMitzrim Yumu Nimoilim. And Yosef, as we see in this week's parsha, indicates that he made sure that even the non-Jews had a bris milah. But Yadua, and it's brought in the Menorah Samaor, a very famous and beautiful sefer. If you've never read it, it's kedai to read it. In Siman Kuf Chaf Vav, Shebechol HaMitzvahs Ein Bohem Rak Shleisha, Sheyu Oisyos Tfilin, Shabbos, and Milah. Then all the mitzvahs, they only have three that have signs, that's Tfilin and Shabbos and Milah. Shabbos says v'yamim tovim ein lanu menichim tefillin, and Shabbos and Yom Tov we don't wear tefillin. Shehari bilav hachi yesh lanu shtei oises, and because even beyond that, besides that, we do have remaining two signs: the Hainu Shabbos and Milah. The Korah Ksiv, it says pasuk al pi shnayim eidim yakum dover. We need two witnesses to hold us up. In the weekday we have tefillin and milah, because yebatlu lehem Shabbos and milah ein Yisrael chas v'shalom ela tefillin. So when they were mavatal Shabbos and milah, so all we have is tefillin. One witness, one thing to hold us up doesn't help anything. Lachein kishebatlu mehem elu hamitzvos hayu roitzim shichtavu keren hashor. When they were mavatal these mitzvahs, Shabbos and Milah and Rosh Chodesh, he wanted to write on the horn of the ox, which represents Yosef also, that ein lachem chelik be'elokei Yisrael, that you shouldn't have a portion with God. As Gavra yadam al shel Yisrael, v'tiknu ha'pagam v'hiliku neros. So there, at that point, then the Maccabees were stronger. They took over and they fixed this mistake, this pagam, this blemish, and they lit the candles and nasa nes b'shemen, and then became a miracle with the oil. Kadesh tia mitoicha fela oira, and from the darkness came the light. The oira is begematria Reshud base, believe it or not. Lermois 212. To hint to us, Shatiknu Masha Pagmu Beminyan Reshud base. That what they made a pagam by selling Yosef in that gematria. And I wish everybody a happy Chanukah and the schus of lighting the candles to bring everybody a yeshuas and nechamais and lots of parnasa, berevach, and all kinds of refuas, yeshuas to everybody. Kol tov.